congregation is not in the building. The building is waiting for the congregation. On this Easter morning, we send you greetings from UUCP. Easter is the time of hope and of renewal and of the return of hope. And may we join in hope with people around the world that we will stay safe and that we will stay united and that we will be together again very soon. Happy Easter from UUCP.
Our opening words are by Ian Riddle. We gather today in the presence of the old story of death defeated by emptiness, of hope and newness, triumphant over fear and separation. We come hearts heavy with pain and anxiety, spirits flattened by exhaustion and apathy, vision darkened by strife and violence. We come seeking connection and love in this place of community. May the old Easter story of hope and rebirth lighten our hearts and make us glad in the presence of each other's love. May our spirits be joyful as we worship together today. Join me from home as we light our chalice and recite our covenant. Karen, would you like to light our chalice? Join me in reciting our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship. Thus do we covenant. We welcome you to our virtual Easter morning worship. You are able to chat with our panelists, and there will be a time later in the service where you can share your joys and sorrows with us, and we will read them out loud or hold them in our hearts. After service, we will be having a virtual coffee hour with breakout rooms. We hope that you will join us. So let me introduce our worship team that is here with us this morning. We have our music director, Benji Messer. And we have our pianist, Mary Coda. And fresh with new internet from the Pickeries Reservation in New Mexico, our Director of Children's Ministries, Katie Resendez. There she is. Yay. And behind the scenes, we have our AV team, Justin Walgren, Stephanie Bridal-Vigil, and Amy McClendon is our moderator. Dale Fisher is in training and watching it this week and created that beautiful video. And of course, Karen and the dogs and the cats are also here with me helping out. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything that we do. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all, of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability and disability. We welcome you, your whole self, your family. And especially in times like these, we seek to build a community of kindness, caring, courage, and hope. A few announcements for us. We have some weekly activities, a plethora of community programming this week, the list of which has been growing each week, as has the attendance. So this week we have morning and meditation on Monday, our weekly lunch with the Rev on Wednesday, and we're adding 2 gatherings to talk about topical issues. On Monday at 6 p.m., we will be having a conversation on death and dying, a topic that's relevant for any time, but seems to be on our minds more right now. And on Thursday at 10 a.m., we're going to be having a gathering of our folks who are 60 and older, those who have considered their age a great asset of wisdom and learning, but who are also being told that it makes them more vulnerable to this virus. So we're going to be talking about the tension between those 2 things. We also have play dates, choir meetups, and community nights, all of those types of things. So you can find all of that on Compass. For your security and privacy, our Zoom meetings all have unique numbers, Zoom numbers, and passwords. You can find a complete list of the programming in Compass that came out on Saturday morning. And you can also sign up for Compass on our website. And if you've got any problems at all receiving Compass, you can email compass@phoenixuu.org to get a copy. We also want to make sure that worship and these programs are as accessible to everyone as possible. If you know anyone who can't get on Zoom for any reason, they can access our Zoom help desk at UUCP Zoom support at phoenixuu.org. And this morning, if you wish, post a picture of yourself worshiping with us, put it on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere and tag UUCP. And we're creating quite a movement with this. And finally, today is Easter, and we are hoping that you're wearing some kind of homemade Easter bonnet. Yes, that hat is something that I already had at home. Please take a picture of you in your Easter hats and email them to me. We're going to have some fun with your photos this week, and you can email me at minister@phoenixuu.org. And make sure that you bring them to coffee hour after the service. But if you don't have one, still come to coffee hour. So now I turn it over to Benji for our hymn, acknowledging that many of you are singing at home, some of you are humming along, and some are just enjoying it.
Good morning, everyone. Let's sing Love Will Guide Us. It's about getting through a hard time with love and hope. The lyrics are in the chat. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Good morning, everyone. This morning, I want to ask all of the kiddos to come close, but I also want to ask you to make some room for your parents. And in fact, let's make some room for the people who support parents and the people who are parenting once in a while, or maybe parenting over the phone. Because Sometimes we use together time to tell the message of Sunday in a different way, maybe in a story. Sometimes we use it to talk about something we can all do together and an activity or a way that we all are working. But today I want to use it to talk about a way we can support people in our communities and maybe ask us all to give a helpful hand to those who are parenting. Parents, it's a tough time right now, right? Think about when you were first bringing your child home, whether that was from an airport or the hospital, or if your child was brought right to your house. Think about all of the things that you hoped and planned for. Maybe you had a nursery perfectly painted and set up, or maybe you had a school picked out and the uniforms all ironed and ready to go for the next week. You had all sorts of hopes and big thoughts and exciting plans. A few weeks ago, when we all found out that kids were going to be home from school, you probably had plans that looked like that too. You probably had craft ideas, a million books planned out to read, clothes to sew, study guides, things to work on and learn, and worksheets, and huge big plans. And those were beautiful plans. And they were hope. They were hope about how this time was going to be and how it was going to look. But here's the thing. None of us knew how it was going to look or what it was going to be like, because we've never been through a global pandemic quite like this. So then there's this lull of what do we do? And some of us kicked into overdrive and our houses became spotless and clean and perfect. And some of us sat on the couch and the laundry piled up. And you know what? All of us did okay. And we're all doing okay. Because the goal of being at home and being with kids and parenting during this time is not to come out with scholars, not to end this time with children who can sew and cook and clean and chop wood and write massive tomes and recite Shakespeare. The goal is to survive. And it's for all of us to survive. And it's for us to survive as individuals. And it's for parents to help their kids survive, but it's also for families to survive. It's to figure out the ways that we do and don't fit together, to let go of the things that were too hard or too big or that you just didn't like as a family, and to figure that out and move forward. And you know what? Day by day, those things might be changing. Okay, so parents, take a deep breath. Kiddos and folks supporting parents, help. Ready? We're going to make a list. I want you to think over the course of this week of all of the things that you've done or seen those folks parenting in your life do that have been amazing and totally unexpected. Not the planned out ones, the ones we thought we were going to be perfect, but the silly, wonderful ones. Like maybe today is a totally different Easter than was expected. Or maybe that pile of laundry on the couch has become a race. Whatever it is, what is your list of things that you didn't think were going to be amazing, that you didn't plan for, that have still been beautiful and wonderful? Because they're there. And at the end of the day, every single day, you're surviving and your family is surviving. Make sure to affirm one another, tell each other how much you love each other, and remind each other that you are succeeding, because there's really only one goal, and you're doing an amazing job of it. You are doing good. You are wonderful. I see you, and I love you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. It's so nice to have you with us. While we are apart, we are realizing how special and important this congregation is to us. While we can't worship in person together, we are still affirming how important our bonds of community are. And while we're not in a building, we realize that the structure that we have built together has value beyond our expectations. In that spirit, we invite you to support the mission and vision of this congregation through your financial support. During our offering music, we are grateful for your gifts and to support this congregation. You can donate by text, by website, or you can go old-fashioned and mail in a check. I also want to remind anyone who hasn't sent in their pledge forms yet for our Stewardship Month, please send them in or fill them in on our website. And during this time when we are redefining what this congregation means and how we do community together, we thank you for your creativity and your generosity. Great choice, Mary. So it is the time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share and to support with each other and connect with each other. So I want to invite any of you to send a chat message to me, or you can do it to me directly or the panelists here on Zoom that I will read. And I will read out anything that's giving you joy, anything at all. If you want it to be private only to me and not to be shared, please put the word private at the beginning. And I won't say it out loud, but I will say it in my heart. So I have a joy that, oh, the beautiful weather, that we've been hiking and walking the dogs, and you all did not tell me how many flowers Phoenix was going to have this time of year. We know the rain has had an impact on that, but boy, it's so gorgeous and green and colorful. I saw a joy from Phil Slater that he woke up to puppies this morning. I've seen pictures of those puppies. They're beautiful, and that makes everything happier. There's a number of people who are getting pandemic puppies. My sister's getting one. It's a wonderful time to adopt dogs from shelters if you have the chance to do that. So the Lifshitz family says that we were blessed with an amazing rainstorm yesterday evening. It was gorgeous. And Valina says, long walks with my dog too, and hiking. So, oh, I've got a happy Easter from Orlando. We miss you, Christine, from Barbara. Thank you, my Orlando family. We miss you too. I'm so glad that you can join us. Shelley Stevenson says, a joy is sourdough starters and baking every day. Eric Arellano says, I discovered Coursera and am enjoying a course on linguistics and a class on philosophy. It's great to be able to keep learning after graduating from college last year. It's free too. Oh, now I know who you are, Eric. It's good to see you here. And Stephanie Cox says, I'm so thankful to be able to join you from snowy Minnesota. Thanks for the great virtual service. We're so glad to have you here. Vicky says, I got to see my mom for the first time in 4 weeks. She has Alzheimer's in an assisted living lockdown. Oh, I'm so glad you got to see her. John Reed Maffeo says, good kite flying weather and space to fly them. And our friend Ann Conwell says, happy Easter from Ann and Deb in Oregon. We love you. We love you too, Ann and Deb. How very cool. Janine Gelsinger, her family has been through the ringer. She says, Thursday marked the first day in a long time that no one in our home had a fever. So we started our hopefully final 14-day quarantine. Our prayers and thoughts have been with you, Janine. You have been through more than any one family should have to go through. Francis Wiggett says, I finished my novel in a culmination of 3 novel composition classes. Wow. And the Lifshitz family also says, we're rebuilding the treehouse into a party deck. That is a wonderful stay-at-home types of things. So Pete Creelman says, happy Easter. Sam Kirkland and Michelle Morgan say that they are glad to be back home after an incredible visit to Syracuse and the birth of Devin. Sam, I think we need more photos. Jenny Jones says a joy is homemade cranberry orange muffins. And Amy Miskell says that telehealth for occupational therapy has been approved so that she'll be able to work from home. From the Edens family, we're happy to be with each other and grateful for clear skies. So Savannah says, I am grateful for baking with my grandmother. We're so glad to have you with us, Savannah. And for all of these joys, we are so grateful. We need big ones, little ones at this time. So now I invite any of you to send the same chat message, private or not, with any sorrows that you may have. And as you do that, I want to give a reminder that we do have ways to connect with each other through our neighborhood connection groups. If you need or can offer help, please email the UUCP help list at gmail.com. If you have any symptoms of illness, please reach out to me. I would love to be able to help and support you where I can. And also, if you have lost your job or had hours significantly cut, please reach out to me. I have been putting the ministerial discretionary fund into use this week. So know that that is a resource. It's not huge, but it's something that we can do. And I do want to share the death of John Prine. I know that that was a big loss for many people. So looking to see if there are any other sorrows. Amy Miskell says, my sister's 91-year-old friend Wayne is hospitalized with COVID-19. We will be sending him good thoughts. And yes, and I see Christine Carmona, this is a joy. We're spending Easter service on our porch. And I got to talk to Christine this week. That was great. And Valina Beatty says, my wife was going to move out here and just learned that the job has been pulled or canceled. And I'm so sorry. That is so difficult. Yeah. And Donna Featherstone says, holding my furloughed coworkers in my heart, hoping that they will return to work soon. Yes, we're holding all of those who have been laid off, furloughed, had their hours cut, their pay cut, so many. A joy from McCall Forster that dog training is going very well. McCall's got a puppy. Kim St. Clair has a poignant reflection that the video of UUCP made me realize how much I miss seeing all of you in person and our sacred space. And that's kind of why I did it. I knew that that would be kind of poignant to be able to see that space, and it is empty and it is odd. And I thought you all would like to see of that. Mary McManus says, I'm unsure of whether or not my summer internship will proceed as planned. Laurel Harden says, the Phoenix Art Museum just laid off its workers. And Janine Gelsinger says, it's so hard for my kids not to be with their aunt and grandparents on Easter, hunting for eggs and eating ham and potatoes, holding in our thoughts the families that are separated on this holiday. And I am holding all of you all in thoughts. This is supposed to be a time of family and big meals and gathering in churches and in homes. And no, it is not that. And of course, we need to acknowledge all of the loss that has happened this week due to the pandemic. People have been saying that the virus doesn't discriminate, but it turns out that it does. Or rather, our society discriminates, and our African American community is being hit harder. In Michigan, Black people made up 40% of deaths, despite being just 14% of the state's population. In Illinois, Black people made up 42% of fatalities, but make up only 14% of the population. And it's even worse in the city of Chicago, where Black people represent 68% of fatalities and more than 50% of the cases, but make up only 30% of the city's total population. Dr. Fauci says health disparities have always existed for our African American community. It's not that they are getting infected more often. It's that when they do get infected, their underlying medical conditions wind them up in the ICU and ultimately give them a higher death rate. Those medical conditions come from poverty levels, lack of opportunity, exacerbated by redlining and generations of racism. So like most things, our people of color will be more disproportionately affected. And of course, our hearts here in Arizona are going out to the Navajo Nation, which is now officially the 4th largest hotspot in the country, and make up a hugely disproportionate amount of the cases in Arizona. This is largely due to access to potable water, where people can not only obey the stay-in-place order because they need to go get water, but also because the simple instructions to wash hands isn't as easy if you don't have running water. There is hope that stay-in-place measures that we're doing here in Arizona are paying off and that will flatten the curve. And the next 2 weeks will be critical here. I urge you, my beloveds, stay at home, stay responsible, stay safe. We will get through this together, and none of us is doing this alone. So I invite you now to a time of meditation and prayer. Center yourselves, put your feet on the floor if you wish, settle into place, snuggle up on the couch. Take a few deep breaths. Breathe. Join me in a prayer written by California UU minister Julia Hamilton, entitled, "Who Are We to Bet Against Glory?" Spirit of hope, settle into our bones on this Easter morning. Remind us once again that the dawn light is never a gamble. If there ever was a sure bet, it is the sunrise. Even stones crumble, even grief changes and shifts. And death is a mystery that is certain but not solid. But hope is like the sunrise, eternal and bone bred within us. We are creatures built by sunshine and cannot carve this hope out of our bones if we tried. And yet people have tried to entomb the light, tried to seal off the morning. Emperors and kings, priests and patriarchs have brought down death, certain but not solid, on any who point to a new dawn. In these fearful moments, we can be forgiven if we stumble and doubt and deny, but still the sun rises and calls her children into bloom. Always, she says, Always I will return. So don't despair. All is not lost. The small ways of the petty tyrants never win. So place your money on the sunrise. Who are we to bet against glory? Join me in a moment of silence. Amen. Blessed be, and Ashe. Thank you, Mary. Our reading today is Let the Alleluias Rise Up by Ellen Cooper. Every year, the same conundrum. How do we find our way into Easter when, for us, the most important part of Jesus of Nazareth is his teachings rather than his death? Like many traditional holidays, it must have some meaning to us beyond its commercial trappings. But what is that meaning exactly? What are we to make of the death of one Jewish teacher 2 millennia ago in a world where we hear daily of violence, death, and injustice? When I left my Christian upbringing, the first thing I wholeheartedly threw out the window was the cross. I kept the bunny, the eggs, the chocolate, but the whole death and resurrection thing was right out. Many years later, I reluctantly let little bits of it back in, particularly around resurrection and rebirth. It was an easy metaphor to embrace for a holiday that, in many places, ushers in springtime. But it is only in very recent years that the whole story has again found a place in my spirituality. That Easter takes on a deeper meaning than it ever did when I was a child. No alleluias until Easter, my daughter told me solemnly. Shh, the Alleluias are sleeping. She pointed to a small raised garden bed being warmed by the spring sun, where I could see the sprouts of trumpet lilies pushing up through the soft dirt. Before Easter, she summed up, no Alleluias. After Easter, Alleluias again. Of course, perhaps the simplest, most elegant explanation of Easter I have ever heard, without all of the complicated and problematic substitutionary atonement theology, without the irrationalism of missing bodies or visitations from the dead. This is Easter stripped down to its most central, heart of hearts message. We have Alleluias in our life, moments of triumph and wonder, of insight and rebirth. These are moments of transformation when our way of being in the world is fundamentally changed, strengthened, deepened. When we feel more whole, more connected. The exuberant and joyful Alleluia is a good way to think of these moments. But as my Christian colleagues are fond of saying, you can't get to Easter without Good Friday. The story of resurrection cannot go forward without a death. Sometimes the most profound transformations are the ones that emerge out of the deaths that we face in our lives. It may be a literal death, the hole left in your life when a beloved has gone and you feel unmade by the loss. It may be any one of 1,000 lesser losses, the loss of a job or a friendship, the death of a marriage or a partnership, a change in physical or mental ability, even the death of a long-held dream. These places of grief are barren places in our life, God-forsaken places that teach us sorrow and suffering and lament. But feeling forsaken is not the same as being forsaken. The story of Easter tells us that death doesn't win, love wins. Like the saplings that sprout among the ruins of a forest fire, like the phoenix who is born from its own ashes, like the crocus that pokes through the snow each spring, like the banana tree, which dies but lives on in its children. Hope rises. Hope rises up, even in the face of death, even in our wilderness. We are never completely lost.
Holly Near has been writing hopeful, passionate music for many years. I think her song, I Am Willing, fits this moment well. Feel free to sing with me once you get it. The lyrics should be in the chat. Goes, I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. And may the children see more clearly, may the elders be more wise, winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. For I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, and so lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. For I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change.
Thank you, Benji. So I need to confess that I have one of those geeky ministerial hobbies, probably like the last 20 years. I like to go to UU congregations to see how UU ministers handle Easter. Because there are some UU Christians. I do not want to dismiss, for many UUs, this is a very deeply personal holiday. But for many UUs, it is cultural. We still do Easter egg hunts and baskets and maybe even dress up for Easter. There are still many UUs who feel like they need to go to church on Christmas and Easter, even if they don't believe in the Easter story. But many UUs have questions or doubts about the literal resurrection of Jesus and what it means. As a community that includes Christians, but also others who believe in community or collective actions or nature or human spirit, what do UU ministers say on a holiday that is all about a personal savior? So it's my fun UU game. I like to go around and see what UU ministers are going to say on Easter. So today I need to name that this UU minister is mourning, because this morning we were supposed to have a full Vivaldi's Gloria. The choir and Benji have been working on it for months. It was going to be choir and orchestra and just triumphant, amazing music. I'm also mourning the children's Easter egg hunt that I have heard so much about and exploring all over the campus looking for Easter eggs. And yet we don't have that, but we do have hope. And that is what Easter is to me at its largest scale. For Christians, it is the hope that they will be resurrected into everlasting life with Jesus. For those of us who celebrate the cultural Easter or the pagan Eostar, it is about the return of spring, of buds and bunnies, and of new birth and flowers, the return of life into this world. But what does, in the broadest sense, hope mean? And what does it mean in these very uncertain times when everything has changed? In these uncertain times. Has anyone else been watching TV? Like every single commercial is starting with, in these uncertain times, or in these challenging times, or now that everything has changed. And I feel like we need to turn that into a bingo game or something. What does hope mean in these times? I don't totally know. Honestly, I know that some people are waiting for me to tell them everything is going to be okay. And it's going to be okay during this and it's going to be okay after this. But I can't do that. I know we are going to lose people we love. This world is lost way too many already. I can hope that we don't, but it is very possible that some of us will lose someone that we know before all of this is over. But I can, and I do find hope every single day. And I'm finding much of my hope from you. So I want to know where you find hope. Really, really, I want to know. And this is the point where I'm going to find out whether you're paying attention, because we're going to play a little game. And I am going to share with you something called Menti. And I would love for you to all be able to go on. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on another screen on your computer, but I want you to go to menti.com and use the code 504031 right there on the screen, and you can enter one word at a time. And you can enter 3 of them to start out with, but then you can enter as many words. And then something magical is going to happen when you do that. So I want you all to go to menti.com, use that code, and put in single words of what gives you hope. What gives you hope during this time? And we'll start building a community word cloud. Community, children, water, love. The words that get bigger are the ones that have more people entering it. So family and love and friends, activism, walks, laughter, FaceTime, babies, generosity, revolution, sunsets. Oh, this is a beautiful cloud of hope. A beautiful cloud of hope. Music, spring, UUCP, dogs and kindness, openness, education and leadership, nature. I'm seeing a lot of nature and community, music. Oh, I love seeing the words that are getting bigger. These are ones that multiple people have put in. This is our UUCP word cloud of hope. A reminder that things are not lost and that we have so much to be grateful and so much to be looking forward to. Oh, how beautiful this is. Wonderful. Thank you all for participating in that. It's another one of our worship experiments, and I will save that and put that on somewhere on social media or a website or something. That's amazing. How wonderful. So here's some of my thoughts on what gives me hope and what I hope brings hope to all of us. I hope that the world will remember how we handled this. I hope that we see collectively that whether we made the choice to be Zoom bombers or whether we were the helpers, did we capitalize on this crisis or did we use it to equalize us all? Our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will ask us how we dealt with this. Let's be able to answer them with pride. I have hope that the changes that we've been waiting for can come about more easily because we've done some really hard things now. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And the thought that we said we couldn't do some of these things to help the environment, well, those are false. That is a false narrative. We are doing hard things now. and we can do more hard things because we have been through this. That gives me hope. I have hope that we will continue to honor the nurses and janitors and store clerks more than athletes and celebrities. This has equalized us. Those with more money cannot buy their way out of this. Though sadly, those with less money or an already unequal playing field are being disproportionately affected. I hope that this equalizes us more. I have hope that Arizona's peak is coming later than other states and we've had time to be in shelter. I have hope that since so many of you have been staying home, we will be safer. I hope that desperately. I hope that we learn the value of slowing down, of consuming less, of simple pleasures, and the importance of community and interacting with the loved ones in our lives. And I have hope in the flowers that are coming out and the smog clearing from our skies and the waters getting cleaner. And finally, while the literal resurrection may not be spiritually relevant for you, resurrection is all about transformation. It is changing from one thing to another. And oh my people, we are transforming so fast and harder than we could have imagined. Transformation has never been easy. Right now, we are transforming to a simpler way of being, putting the collective good over our personal comfort. We are transforming to a global community that understands that we are all connected. We are slowing down and prioritizing what is important. We are transforming to a community that is finding brand new ways to connect. New ways are being resurrected. We have made intentional changes, and it will be up to us to decide how intentionally we keep those transformations after this crisis is over. Where's the hope and resurrection if we don't have a personal savior? Well, the hope is where we do have our beliefs, in the earth, in our community, in our humanity, in our shared experiences, and in our optimism that the future can and will be better than today. My hope is in you. My hope is in us. Happy Easter, everyone.
Close with an African-American spiritual that UU congregations know well. It imagines that, however tough things are now, there's more love and more hope somewhere, and we're going to keep on till we find it. And let's follow Rev. Christine Servin by starting with the hope verse. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. Let's sing more joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere, and there is more love. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Thanks, everyone.
So I went outside because it's gorgeous outside, and that does give us hope. And we should all get outside on this Easter morning. And before our closing words, we would like to invite you to our coffee hour this week. We are going to a different Zoom room where we'll be able to meet as a large group for a minute and say hi. And then we're going to go into small breakout rooms just for a short while for a little bit more conversation. Then we'll come back together at the end. We'll put the number in the chat and we'll end it on the final slide. You don't need to remember it right now. You can take a picture of it. You can write it down. It will come after the music at the end. If you haven't gone into Zoom yet, we do invite you to go to do it. You can go to zoom.us and join the meeting room 431-916-612. And there's a password, which is coffee321. And as always, I invite you to reach out to connect with each other after this is done, to find ways to be in community with other people and to remind us that we are not alone. Our closing words for Easter are from Alex Holt. For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you find in the darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, together we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone aside reminds us that we are far more powerful than we could ever be on our own. Our offering of strong hands to help, our prayers made real. Let us begin again in love. Go in peace, go in love, go in safety and wrapped in the love of this community. I will see you in coffee hour.